Waste management is a significant challenge facing Africa and the world. Tons and tons of solid waste is generated every year. Sadly, only a tiny fraction of this waste is recycled, leading to a severe environmental pollution problem in Africa in particular. On December 14, 2022, the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, adopted a resolution proclaiming March 30th as International Day of Zero Waste to be observed annually. As the world marks the first ever International Day of Zero Waste, it is imperative that Nigeria and Africa at large join the rest of the world in stepping up its waste management efforts through proper waste collection, processing, and recycling or disposal. It is also hoped that the day will propel government at all levels, public-private partners, to drive a sustainable waste management practice through recycling and waste reduction programs. Sustainable waste management is crucial for the future of our world. So let's increase advocacy towards promotion of waste management practices. For more on this topic, join us on Lens on Africa on NTA International.
Joining us in the studio via Zoom to have a conversation on waste management is a seasoned environmentalist and counselor of the FCT Council Waste Management Society of Nigeria, a PhD student at the University of Jos, and managing consultant, Spotlex World Environmental Solutions. Welcome to Lens on Africa. Mr. Femi Kinri, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'm going to ask the question, Zero Waste Day. Now, is this a realistic, achievable goal, zero waste or no waste, considering that as long as there are humans on the planet, we will always have waste generated?
It's very realistic.
Okay.
When we are talking of zero waste, waste is not a waste until it is wasted. And then...
Interesting.
I said waste.
Yes.
It's not
a waste until it is wasted.
So
okay.
Nothing is a waste until it is wasted. Now, and that is why we say that waste is actually a useful resource in the hand of someone who does not know the use. So the fact that somebody is calling it a waste is because they do not understand exactly what it could be used for.
Oh, wow.
So like I would bluntly say that somebody sees something and he said, this is trash. Another person sees it and he said, this is cash. Somebody sees something and he said, this is trash. Another person said, no, this is treasure.
This is cash, yeah.
Somebody sees, sees, let's say, what we call food waste. And he said, oh, this is waste. I mean, throw it in the refuse. And somebody said, it is a resource. So it is not a waste until it is wasted.
All right, so let me ask.
We actually have that we generate and people call waste is just because it is not yet in the hand of somebody who can place a value.
All right. So let me ask the question. The follow-up question will be, what do we need to do to get more people who understand that waste is not waste, but treasure? What do we need to do to get more people who understand that in the waste management sector? Or what do we need to do to ensure that more people of the general population understand the value of proper waste management?
Education,
okay,
enlightenment, orientation, information dissemination. And that is part of what we are doing on this platform, as it were.
Yes.
Now, I will tell you that if the government had not said, bring back the old Naira notes,
yes,
anyone who has it, what is it to him? It is a waste.
Yeah.
But then, now that it is, the enlightenment is there, and government made a pronouncement and said, begin to accept it and use it as a legal tender. Then nobody sees it as a waste anymore. Few weeks ago, everybody rejects it. So it is in that same way when we begin to see what we call waste in that manner. For instance, let's talk about metal.
Yes.
Many years ago, you see metal all over the place. People do not have any value on them. But now,
For scrap
even
metal.
when you have your own vehicle, and you park it carelessly, don't be too surprised that some people will come there and they pieces it and they will have taken away the metal. So at another point in time, the whole thing also moved on to say pets. That's the one called bottled water container. Now, those days, people throw it all over the place. They throw nylon all over the place. But is it so today? Because the enlightenment is there, the orientation is now there. In fact, if you are drinking water at an eatery, if you are not very careful before you are done drinking your water, some people will have come there and they will carry it thinking that it is an empty bottle.
All right, so Mr. Femi, sorry, before we go far, and we're going to have this conversation, this part of the conversation where we break down the various steps, I'd like to ask a general question. What is the state of waste management in Africa and Nigeria specifically? Then we can begin to have the conversation of specific items.
Okay, now the state of waste management in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole, we are still very far from where we are supposed to be. Now, the truth is that in Nigeria, like many other African countries, we do not even have a reliable data. If at all, we even have data for the volume of waste we generate. So you just hear people say, oh, we generate this volume of waste. And we ask ourselves, what is the source of the data? Because for you to be able to say that you have this volume of waste, you should actually have your waste centrally, collected into a place.
Yeah.
And you say that, oh, there is a weight bridge that weighs the volume of waste that comes in. But in a situation where almost everybody will dump their waste wherever they find, in most cities in Nigeria, just as it is across, in most places in Africa. So we are still very far from where we are supposed to be. Though the laws are there, the policies are being formulated to say this is where we want to get to, but then we are still far from it. And that is the state, as it were.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this question. Generally in Africa and in Nigeria, we like the symbols without the symbolize. We have large trucks collecting waste all across the state capitals, but they're not really being processed as they should be. We have people dumping out their refuse, not separated into plastic waste, recyclable waste, and all of that, as we find in more forward-thinking countries in various parts of the world. So my question is, what do we need to do to improve the waste processing cycle from those who generate the waste, the way the waste is disposed of, the way it is collected, and the way it is recycled? A lot of the waste in most of our big cities are just dumped into landfills, and that is not sustainable. What do we need to do to make this shift across these various groups, both the producers and the processors of the waste?
Okay. Number one, I want to actually state that it is only in very few states that we have even the compactor, as it were, the trucks that collect the waste. You will see in Abuja, you will see in Lagos, you will see in a few, cities. There are states you will get to that you will not find a single one. So I just want to clear the air on that. Now,
understood.
Moving away from there, I also want to state that in Nigeria, we do not even have any singular landfill. Because when we are talking of landfill, it has to be engineered. There are basic things that should be put in place. So what we have in Nigeria are actually dump sites.
They are dump sites, actually, yes.
So we have dump sites all over, the place. And that's why you even see people who have dump sites, in their own community. You have somebody who have dump site inside his own compound, then you will see, in fact, some states will just even look for wherever they can, find, potholes, maybe mining sites, and they begin to use waste to reclaim land. So now, what then do we do to ensure that we get to where we ought to get to? Understanding that our need for, to care for the environment is not doing the environment a favor, but doing ourselves a favor. And what do I mean by doing ourselves a favor? Now, the Holy Books actually make us understand that cleanliness is next to godliness or holiness as it want to be. In the scriptures, the Bible actually makes us understand that we should keep our environment clean. He said, for the Lord thy God shall pass through the land.
Yes.
He said, let he cease uncleanness and he turns away. What does this mean? Is that for he has come to deliver you from your enemy. Now, when we do not manage our waste very well, enemies will come in. Enemies like cholera, enemies like malaria, enemies like, all kinds of bacteria will come around. So we are not doing the environment any favor. Like the environment is not actually, it's something we are holding in custody for the future. And of course, for the present.
So I'm going to ask the question now. Since waste management is such a huge issue, it affects our daily lives, it affects the environment, it affects us in many ways, our health and all of that. Why is it not a very strong part of political campaigns, and why is it not a very important part of government's planning and government's push?
Yeah. Now, because a good number of people in the government may not have seen that rather than seeing waste as an issue, but seeing it as an opportunity. So when you do not see an opportunity in a particular thing, then you don't actually build your campaign around it. But then I would also say this, that it is not absolutely correct that campaigns are not built around it. In a particular state, in the last political dispensation, that was the last electioneering process before this very last one, that was in 2019.
Yes.
A particular state governor, whom I would not like to mention, lost his primaries to one major factor, that when he was in power, he actually disrupted the waste management plan of a particular state.
Yes.
And that was one of his major offenses. And because the people understood that, this place used to be cleaner than it is now, and you came with a campaign and said cleaner and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a number of Nigerians understand.
Now, that's just one state. Sorry, Mr. Femi, that's just one state among 36, and it's not even including the federal government. So it's still very insignificant, if I must say.
Yeah, quite insignificant. But the point I'm making is that it could actually spread from that particular point. Remember that was a state that actually pioneered the new line of waste management in Nigeria.
Yes, I totally agree. But bringing it up to 2023 general elections, state management, waste management was not a part of it at all, either at the state, local government, or at the federal level. So what do we need to do? Because when
states will copy their result, copying the processes. But then it can become better if every one of us will actually make this very clear that managing our waste is very, very essential, and it's part of the things we actually need the government to do. So it means that there must be more advocacy in that regards. And let me also quickly bring this to the open, that as it is, by God's grace, very soon we're going to be having a waste management institute in Nigeria, because the bill has actually gone to an advanced stage to actually ensure that the management of waste becomes a focal point in Nigeria. And
all right.
It's not going to be by
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. I appreciate the bill. However, waste management is very elementary. I don't think we need a bill or law, a bill at the National Assembly to be able to effectively manage our waste. I think we can do that without that. Yes, it will help the process, but I think we need to take waste management more seriously at the center and at the state level, even at the local government levels. Growing up in families, we had these issues dealt with. Now we just have about a minute left, Mr. Femi. Can you please, your last words to our viewing audience, millions of people watching all across Africa, what would you like to say to them and the governments that manage the waste across these countries?
Okay, now what I would like to say is that, for instance, for us at WAMAS, as Waste Management Society of Nigeria, that we would like many more people who understand that the waste management, activity have an effect on them, to partner with us. Government agency, non-governmental organizations, companies should partner with us as we carry this advocacy from place to ensure that waste management is managed, is done in accordance with a public health interest. Because, like we will say that we are managing waste professionally, and the best way to manage it professionally is to ensure that waste does not constitute a nuisance to the public. So we want as many people as possible, the media houses like yours, and many others, to join us in doing this advocacy and carrying it all over Nigeria till we begin to understand that there is a standard that is set and our laws are there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. Thank you very much, Mr. Ferry Kinri. It's been a pleasure talking with you on this very important matter. It is true, so long as there is development, there will be waste. But as you say, Mr. Femi, waste is only waste to those who don't know what to do with it. It's been a pleasure. We'll take a break now, and when we come back, Lens and Africa will continue.